sometimes in an effort to like, I guess, have a sense of perfection or idealism in my life, I get really hooked on like, I need to, okay, I need to female, I need to do this, I need to get this, I need to be like this, I need to think this way, or else everything's gonna backslide. So when I have like a negative emotion or a negative moment, I get like really freaked, and I try and like toxic positivity myself a little bit and be like, things are fine, shut up. And I was having this moment today where I was like, I just want to be able to feel safe enough to feel bad and like view myself negatively and speak to myself negatively and not have it be like, have any love for myself then be rescinded immediately, because I was like, like I feel like I should be able to be a little mean to myself or ungrateful or spiteful or whatever, not treat myself well without it meaning I don't love myself. Like to constantly be in the mode of caretaker for myself is exhausting. And it's nice sometimes in a strangely, mildly masochistic way to like just be the opposite and be a little internally cruel. Not to the point of like causing true harm, but like in a way that like I can live with and sit with. And it made me think about the secretary a little bit, and I felt like I held like a certain level of understanding of myself, and that, well, to a certain degree, I like BDSM. I don't think is my truth personally. I don't think that's my truth personally, but I find that I am very intrigued by those dynamics, and I resonate with those dynamics in spirit, and I feel like that breakdown that I was having, I'm still kind of in today, embodies kind of what the appeal of that is, because it isn't so much just about like, oh, pain is pleasurable. I think part of it is also the ability to hold space for the less appealing parts of ourselves, whether that is being someone who is cruel or someone who desires cruelty, in knowing that doesn't mean that care can be absent. Like there's a way for care to still exist in that way, and being able to identify the nuances of that dynamic, because it's so complicated in terms of interpersonal dynamics, because what is like the line between BDSM and abuse, and the line is like consent. This is really the line. It's consent to said dynamic. And I also feel like there's an underlying sense of care in that dynamic as well, where said masochism, sadism isn't so much how can I cause harm to this person, and more about how do we engage with pain in a way that is enjoyable to all parties, versus as a way to harm or hurt or release aggression at the expense of someone else, or being a punching bag for someone at the expense of yourself. Like there's a certain level of I don't know how to describe it, but like when you see it, you know it. I feel like when you see it, you know it. But it's just very interesting. And there it's even like towards the end of the movie where there's a big pinnacle at the end of the movie of their dynamic, and this like, I don't think he's meant to be a priest. I think he's just some guy who happens to be Catholic or familiar with that kind of thing, who's like talking about how like, no, I guess he's not Kyle, he's just some random dude. He's like, in a lot of there's a lot of traditions of this kind of thing, like monks with their hunger strikes and nuns sewing needles into their uniforms, or just ways that even to show devotion we suffer, and that indirectly BDSM is kind of part of that tradition of showing devotion through suffering, and how that suffering then becomes pleasurable because of the intent behind it. And that's kind of like a side spiral away from my own like moment today of just like, it's less that my like upset and pain, sadness is like some form of self-devotion. I feel like that's shown up for me sometimes maladaptively in other ways of like working past my limit, or like pushing myself past my limit sometimes. But I feel like being able to have the space to just feel bad and not look down on myself, and not immediately need to like remedy myself out of this bad feeling, I feel like in a weird way is comforting, versus like trying to like go into self-care mode, like just allowing myself to like be dysfunctional and being okay with that, and not seeing that as like a complete failure on my part, and knowing that like I'll be able to bounce back. Like I can be dysfunctional for a day or even 2 days, and that doesn't mean my world is over, or that everything's going to fail now because I didn't get it together exactly like this, But yeah, no, maybe there's like maybe it's the self-acceptance. Maybe there's the openness to what feels taboo and shameful, and respond to that with so much openness and curiosity and care, that I find very endearing.